All right, cool. So let's get started. Let's just do a little quick introduction, everybody. And when I see Amitai, Rob, and then Russell. So we'll do it in that order.
Hi, I'm Amitai. I'm a software developer and coach from Bloomington, Indiana, and I'm doing RubySteps to learn more about Ruby the language.
Hi, I'm Rob. I'm a beginning Rubyist here from LA, and I'm just taking Ruby steps just to try to give me that next step up.
Hi, I'm Russell in Jacksonville, Florida. I think I want to call myself a beginner plus plus, even though there's no plus plus in Ruby. So I just want to take this course and learn more about Ruby.
Cool. So you'll be a beginner plus equals 1.
Yeah.
That's our plus plus. Cool. And yeah, I'm Pat. I live in Los Angeles, and I made RubySteps so that I can hang out with a bunch of cool programmers all day long. So Rob, can you just tell us a little bit about mob programming and how it works and what we're going to do and why we like to do it?
Well, programming, the reason that it works is you spend less time waiting for an answer because you have all these other people to give the answer to you. It's really, I like to emphasize that it's really a much more human way to work than just having a whole bunch of little people scurry off into their cubicles and just sit on their keyboard all day, because you can bounce ideas back and forth. It just seems to work better, you know? You get better ideas than you would if you were just by yourself.
So you mentioned not getting stuck because you have a whole bunch of people, but I think we missed something. So why do you have a whole bunch of people there? What is it about mob programming that makes that happen?
What do you mean?
What is mob programming?
Oh, mob programming is when you have like 3 or more, usually it settles to a regular number that works with your group, people sitting in a room, and you guys all take shifts on keyboard. So it's pair programming on steroids.
Cool.
Can I jump in? I hear the previously recorded audio.
You hear previously recorded audio.
Yes, I have an echo.
So you're getting
Everything
feedback.
said previously is
Okay.
coming back to me.
So it's a little trippy. Here's what I suspect is that you have a window open to the Google Plus page, and that is playing the video. So if you close that page or stop the video on that, then you won't get that echo. How long is the delay? Is it like 5 to 10 seconds, or is it like a half a second?
That was it.
That was it? Okay, great.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, great. So, yeah, let's just get in. And anytime we start mobbing, it kind of takes a minute just to kind of get going because we didn't spend any time agreeing what we're going to do up front. So the first step for us will be figuring out exactly what we want to do. But I'll drive for the first or I'll navigate for the first couple minutes. And by that I mean with driving, when we mob program, the driver will have his or her hands on the keyboard, and they'll be the only one typing and doing stuff on the keyboard. But they're not actually making many decisions on their own. They're not thinking through the programming problem. They're acting as an intelligent keyboard for the rest of the team. So the rest of the team navigates and expresses what they want the driver to do in a high level, and then the driver interprets that however they can. So we'll just kind of see how it works. There's no, if somebody tells you to do something and you don't know how to do it, that's fine. That's the whole point, is we're trying to identify those things that you know how to do or don't know how to do. And ultimately, you learn what you need to know in that moment to be able to contribute effectively to the team. So just one little note about our mob programming environment. I'm going to click on myself. I'm going to start sharing my screen so people can see the codes. And our mob programming setup is a combination of Google Hangout, as you guys see, and Tmux, which is this terminal multiplexing application that allows us to all log into a single server and share a session, and also be able to have multiple windows and panes within it. So I've got this little cheat sheet up here of Emacs commands and Tmux commands. And it sounds like I'm going to have to switch to Vim at some point because everybody in RubySteps besides me uses Vim. But for the time being, we have Emacs. And so the first thing that I want to do is just come up with our order that we're going to drive and navigate in. So Amitai, we're going to make you the first driver. So
Okay.
could you please create a new buffer?
Can I? Let's see. I'm also a Vim user, so a new buffer would be...
It's at the very top when there it says switch buffers by name.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize switching would let me make a new one. So Control-X-B, and now I get to say something?
Yep, now you can type anything. So that just means switch buffer, but you can type in the name of buffer, and this will be a new one, so that'll end up creating a new one. So just call it whatever you want.
I'm not allowed to want. Somebody has to tell me what to
Look at that. It takes all of 5 seconds for me to get called out on my own rules. So let's call it mob list.
List or lists?
That's perfect.
Okay. And
no,
is it a .rb?
No, it's just so this is, we're just going to say like the order that we're going to go. So if you could write our names, Amitai, Rob, Russell, Pat. So this will be the basic order that we're going to work in. Whoever's at the top is the driver. Whoever is below them, so second in line is we'll say is the primary navigator, because I want everybody to kind of get a feel for the flow and stuff. And so primary navigator will be doing the next steps. If at any point the primary navigator wants to hang back and ask questions or get input or advice from the rest of the navigators, then they're more than welcome to do that. But if you're a secondary navigator, just, try and hang back for now and just listen, hear what's going on. And most of all, pay attention, because you're going to be up in a few minutes and you're going to be doing the navigating, and then you're going to be driving. So cool. I'm going to call it with that, and let's just get the mobbing thing. Rob, I trust you to get us going. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and we'll rotate every 5 minutes. And Rob, let's kick it off.
Okay, well, I'm going to sort of bring up the group here and see, is there anything that you guys have really been stuck on? Because I've been jumping from one spot to another in all of the lessons, so I haven't really been going in order. If there's something that someone really wants to work on, I'm down to do that. If not, I was going to work on 18 or maybe 13. I like the testing stuff, but if there's anything that you guys would particularly stuck on, like, let's do that. Because I'm sort of just exploring, Russell,
am I typing into the buffer?
Looks like it. Yeah.
Okay. So how do I also use tmux, but I use Vim, so how do I get to I'll just bring up something else, my editor?
Well, so you don't for now, because we're sharing the session. And so don't worry about not knowing Emacs, because I'm doing everybody a favor and teaching you guys Emacs. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry for the snarky BS. But basically, so anytime you work this way, there's going to be something that you don't know.
Right.
Whether it's a text editor, whether it's the environment, the programming language, whatever it is, there will be something that you don't know. So when that happens, you just learn whatever little bit that you need to know in order to move on to the next step. So when you're driving, if Rob says, just like what happened with Amitai, I expressed at a high level, create a new buffer. If he knows how to make a new buffer, he just does it, fine. If he doesn't know how to make a new buffer, that's okay too. He says, how do I make a new buffer? And I say, press Control-X-B. If he even goes like, well, so where's the control key on the keyboard? Fine. Like there's a kind of a knowledge bottleneck that happens in that moment, and we're trying to identify it and then get through it very quickly. So it's okay that you don't know Emacs. You're going to learn the basic commands that you need to know in order to go through, and you might not remember them at the end of today, but after enough practice, you would. And probably by next week, we'll switch to Vim, because misguided community is all about it.
And for this 5-minute shift, not knowing Emacs is my problem. I'm the one that has to type.
Yep,
a couple shifts from now, Russell, it'll be your problem, and we'll work together on that too.
Exactly.
Yeah, so everybody here uses Vim except for Pat?
Correct.
Okay.
I did not check up on that at first. I just have the whole setup, and it's a work in progress, and we'll be tweaking it, and I'll get to learn Vim better. So, okay, because we've kind of been talking, I'm going to give Rob a little bit more time. So, all right, Rob, let's kick it off, dude.
Okay, so like I was saying, anything anybody particularly wants to work on, I mean, speak up now, or I don't know, anything you really were stuck on, Russell or Amitai, that you guys wanted to tackle now that we got Pat on the line?
Well, I can tell you what I did. I looked at the previous screencast on the East-oriented stuff,
Yeah.
and it answered questions that I had about that.
Yeah.
Just pick one at random. I'm just trying to get a feel for what's going on. Let's just go with an old one. Let's go with number 2, Rails MVC.
Cool.
Yeah, totally.
That was a fun one. So,
that?
Amitai, oh, sorry, Rob, you're navigating. I'm a dork.
Amitai, can you, I think it's lessons. Is it coming from the home? Yeah, it is. It's going for the home, so you got to go RubySteps, Premium, and then lessons, I guess.
Getting any completions?
Is it not
Weird.
home directory, Pat?
You know what? Let's do something. Do a, I'm trying to think, like, oh, wait, that's weird. So did you switch windows, Amitai? Is that what just happened?
Oh, yeah, I did, yep.
So, okay, if you switch back, I guess maybe we're not where we think we are. You don't want to exit. Switch, do Control-BN to go back to the Emacs window.
I was trying to exit that new shell I made.
So what?
Ruby/RubySteps Premium.
It's interesting. I think we might. I'm wondering if I started it from the wrong. If I started Emacs from the wrong folder. So let's do this. Interesting.
I saw it as home/Ruby/RubySteps Premium.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
well, it's /home/RubySteps.
Okay, so
that should work. And I think maybe I just launched the editor from the wrong.
no, nothing.
Nothing's matching.
What?
Maybe I don't have permissions to even do the file completion.
Well, we should all be logged in as RubySteps.
That makes sense.
So let's see something. I'm just going to take over real quick. I'm going to kill this Emacs and see where we're at. No, look, we're in. That's so silly. What's going on? What? Okay. So let's see. I'm just going to redo our mob list, which was Rob. No, it was the opposite.
Amitai, Rob.
Amitai, Rob,
Russell.
Pat. Okay. So now, if I do this, RubySteps.
There we go. And I think it was
2?
I want to jump in and say one thing. So Tmux has this interesting thing where it makes the screen size the smallest. It defaults to the smallest terminal that we have. So if everybody starts expanding your terminals right now, just make that window bigger. We should start to see the Tmux session get bigger as soon as everybody does that. Cool. So there's just a little bit. Make it as big as you want, and it'll default to the smallest one. But Rob, keep this going.
Hop into number 2 there, the Rails one, and let's check out the README and see what the directions are.
Do you guys remember this exercise or this particular lesson?
I actually skipped this one, so it's good.
I actually did this one.
So what is this one kind of doing? If you want to give me the Cliff Notes version, is it just sort of explaining the whole thing, or is it like?
This was, if I remember right, this is where you repeat the same small piece of functionality 3 or maybe 4 different ways. Put the logic on the model, put the logic on the view, put the logic on the controller, get the same result, and come face to face with the fact that it's up to you where you put it.
Okay, so sort of demonstrating like you can do thin models or fat controllers or however you want to do it. Okay.
You can even put your whole application in the view. I think that's one of them.
So do we want to write some of these, or is this basically, was this lesson just saying, look at these files, or was it put it here, put it there?
Well, we're going to rotate, but I'll explain that in just a sec. So, Rob, the last piece of navigation is for you to get the our mob list rotated. So navigate Amitai through that.
Control X, B, right?
Well, sure.
Oops.
It's just right here. Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, man.
And then take me off this line and put me on the bottom.
Yep.
And that was, how do I select?
If you do Control Space and then
Right.
down, and then Control W will cut it, and then put it where you want, and Control Y will yank it.
Lovely.
Cool.
Okay, Rob, it's yours.
Sweet.
Cool. So Rob, you're gonna drive, and Russell, I'll just say briefly what was going on here. So the way all the lessons work is they all work and they're open-ended. So the code, except in a few cases, the code's working. It's not broken. There's no like wires hanging out that say do this. The point is to give you some code that works, give you something to think about, and then you come up with your own ideas.
Okay.
So we'll just look at these code examples and then do kind of whatever we want as a result of it. That's why it's challenging, because I'm forcing you to actually come up with your own ideas as opposed to saying just take these 3 steps and you're good. Russell, you want to navigate?
Sure.
Cool.
I'm so used to hitting J.
So you're navigating right now, Russell.
Right.
Which means that you'll be talking Amitai through what he needs to do.
We're talking Rob through, I think, now.
Talking Rob through it, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So I know Emacs more, so I'll jump in when it comes to Emacs questions.
So your hands are off the keyboard right now, Russell. You tell me what you want me to do. If you want me to scroll down, you want me to
Yes,
change
please
different
scroll
files?
down so we can see what's going on. So I just picked one at random. I really don't know what this lesson is about. Okay, we're in this lesson. We'll move a lot of controls and build adding applications. So we're going to build the entire app in the views.
You want me to open this file? Or
yeah, you can own that Math 3 controller.
sure.
So it's not right under app. There's actually you want to open a file, not a buffer. So do Control X. We'll do Control G to get out of this, and then Control X, Control F to open a file. And then just do Tab a couple times to see what I think it's called demo. Yeah, demo app 02. And then it's under there. So your app controllers.
Blue with maths, right? It's empty.
So I'm supposed to tell you guys what to do.
I can help if I can have an idea, but you're the primary navigator, I think is the terminology.
Yep, exactly.
So we're in the controller, right? And this doesn't do anything. What do we wish it did? What's the goal here?
Are you guys sure that it doesn't do anything? I mean,
Nope.
I know the controller's empty, but is there an application?
Oh,
Yes.
Like what? So what is in a Rails app? What does the controller do? What does it connect to? Where else might interesting stuff be if it's not in the controller?
And the model
Okay.
Or view.
or
Okay.
view. Right?
Or view. So this controller is completely empty. It doesn't reference a model. So I think a good starting point would be views.
you want me to open the views app, Russ?
Yes, please.
Control X F. No, not that.
Control G to get out, and then yep, Control X, Control F.
Okay, got you. Views. And this was maths. Maths 3
3.
there. Which one?
If you just hit Enter right now, and now that pulls up this directory list, so we can very easily go on and actually do this.
Okay.
Press Shift 6. Do the like the caret sign, whatever that is.
Oh,
So
cool.
that moves up a directory, and then if you hit Enter, you'll go right back into Maths 3.
Oh, cool. So it's like a nerd tree.
Yes.
Which of these do you want to pop into, Russell? Just the show, or you want to?
Let's go in the first one. Let's go on add.
Let's check out that.
Okay, we got a value.
Oh, cool. So all the code is in the view.
All of the code is in the view.
Kind of Sinatra-esque, looks like.
Well, so this is ERB. So this is just that's embedded to Ruby. So if you look where it says add.html.erb, it's an HTML file that has special tags, kind of like PHP in it.
And Russell, these ones here, see these two tags? The
Yes.
ones that have an equal sign after them means they put out something into the HTML of the page. Something is displayed. The ones that don't are just sort of doing, I guess, back-end logic, coding type of work. You know, if they have an equal sign, they put something out. If they don't, they're just code.
Okay, I have a question. The show template, where can we see that?
Sure.
Cool. So we're going to rotate again. And so Russell, the last step is to navigate Rob through rotating the mob list.
Okay, so you got to help me with navigating because
Sure.
I'm so used to them.
Let's see if I can remember it. I think it was Control X F.
Control XF does what?
Is that right? And then mob underscore list.
I think it's Control X B.
Is it?
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Control
The buffer.
B. Switch to buffer. No, I want to go to.
That's right. So you want to type mob list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Control space. Control W. Y.
Control Y. Cool.
What's drop a line, Pat?
What?
How do you drop a line?
Delete a line, you mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just do that. I hit delete. I think Control K will work to delete a line. Yeah, so if you have like a whole bunch of stuff here, Control K deletes to the end of the line, and if it's already empty, it'll delete again. Or if you want to get fancy, you can press Control X. You can't, because that's a key command that I have set at home. Okay, so we are rotated, and now I'm going to navigate, and Russell, you're going to drive. So we're dealing with this Rails app, and we're looking at this code, but I would actually like to see it run. So I want to see how this thing actually works. So if you could please pull up the README file again, which you'll be able to do if you switch buffer by pressing Control X and then let go and press B, and then type with a capital README and hit Tab, and it should take us there. So it should be all caps, capital REA.
Oh, I don't have completion.
You know what? Maybe we don't have it open. So, okay, hit Control G to get out of this. And then if you do Control X, Control F, this will be opening a new file. And then we want, I guess we type RubySteps -premium. You know what? Here'll be easier. Switch back to the show buffer. So press Control G a couple times to get out of this find file. And now if you do Control X B and then show and tab complete on show. Or just hit enter because it'll be the default. Oh, sorry, not enter after pressing S. Control X K to kill this one. Hit enter. And then do Control X B again. And just hit enter, and it'll take us to show. So now what's going on is when we did the find before is looking at where we are, and when we're on a buffer that's not attached to a file, it's defaulting back to root. But because we know that we're in this Rails app, we want to get pretty close to that. So let's open up a file to the file finder.
Okay, how do I do that?
Control X, Control F. Oh, so yeah, now just hit backspace until we get to the 02 Rails MVC, and then you want to open README underneath that.
Slight lag.
Yeah, so not that README actually. You want to delete the demo app 002 also, because we're trying to read the README from the lesson.
So I want to delete demo app 002, so come all the way back.
Yep, exactly. And so now a capital RE and then tab should do it. Sorry, all caps, capital RE. I think if you, so hit tab and let's see if we get the tab completion. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So this says visit localhost 3000 math 3. So we want to run a Rails server. So let's switch to the next window with Control B N.
Control B N. Didn't do anything. You know it's confusing, Pat. It's confusing.
I understand, man. If you've been doing Vim your whole life, then as soon as you get Emacs, it'll be kind of hard. So I may have misspoke. So Control B as in Bravo, and then N as in no.
I don't see anything. Am I still attached? Let me Control B. Now N. No.
Yeah, so I'm moving the cursor. Do you see the cursor move?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. It's possible that for some I don't know, maybe your key command is getting swallowed somehow. Anyway, so let's go and if you could please switch to the lessons 002 directory. It's lessons.
Correct.
Yep. Oh, lag. Internet lag.
Yeah, that's something to get used to. It's plural lessons.
Yep. And then tab should do it. And then do demo and then tab. Cool.
Enter.
Yep. And now you should be able to type Rails S. All right, try bundle exec Rails S. Okay, neat. So we're running it. So now we should be able to go to mob1.patmatics.com on port 3000 and go to math 3. Hey, all right. So I'm going to switch my. Well, actually, I'm not going to switch my screen, but I will show you guys in the chat the link that you can go to. So if you click on that, and I will put it in the chat for the main thing, then we're actually able to see the application that we're looking at here. And I see people making requests. So
yeah, I see it.
It might go kind of slow because it's a single-threaded thing, and now we are all hitting it. But cool. So that I just wanted to see the app that we're actually dealing with, so we can click it around and see how it works. So this rounds up. Let's rotate. So Russell, I guess the switching things doesn't work for you, so I'm going to take over briefly. Oh, and it looks like we have multiple windows. So, okay. So Russell, could you please open up the mob list buffer again?
And the command is?
Control X Bravo. And then type mob and then tab. And now just put your name at the bottom.
And to delete is what? Control.
If you press Control Space, then it should. Actually, you know what? In this case, hit Control K. And then just go to the bottom and press Control Y. Cool. All right, so we'll rotate, and I'm driving, and Amitai, you're navigating.
Oh boy. Okay, so we got as far as proving that we can run Maths 3. Do we try playing with it and seeing that it works, or is that okay? We took that.
I clicked on it a couple times, and I saw some other people clicking on it, but you know, you feel free to poke around.
Okay, I believe it through now. Where were we? We had discovered in our previous shift that This was happening in the view. We had some ERB fragments. There was an add and a subtract, and there was a shared bit of code in show. What would be interesting for us to do next? Anybody have an opinion? Should we take it out of the view? Should we change the shared code? Yep, go ahead.
Let's take it out of the view and put it somewhere, just as a little, I don't know, a mind game, you know? If you guys are okay with that.
I like
Yeah,
it.
so let's
wanna
take
build
it
a model?
to the oh, sure, okay. I was going to say controller, but let's do model.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say controller too, but the fact that we were both going to say controller means we should probably try putting it in the model.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
I have a question. So why did you guys pick controller?
Seemed like it would be easier as a first step.
It seems like it'd be easier to put it. I guess my logic on it is it's if it's something that you're only gonna do like once or twice, like I just think just stick it in the controller because it's easier. But we can put it in the model too, you know.
So here's something kind of interesting. Ordinarily, so first of all, you're probably not going to write an application entirely in the view. Right? The whole point of this lesson is to demonstrate that logic is fluid and that you can program an application with controllers only, or with models only, or with views only. And then, so that force, as Amitai said earlier, you come face to face with the fact that it's your decision about where you place code. With that said, typically, if you're going to move stuff into a model, then you're going to have to move stuff into a controller anyway, because the controller is going to be calling the model. So in terms of like a refactoring and steps and stuff, you might move stuff to a controller first so that you can then move it to a model. However, the views can access a model too. So if we want to put it in a model, then that works fine too. And now our view. I would actually like to do that because I think it'll be a little bit simpler. So why don't we try and extract that code to a model and just have the view call the model directly as opposed to executing the logic? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
All right.
I will need help directing Pat because I don't know how to do any of this stuff in Rails, or I actually don't even know the syntax of Ruby that well.
That's fine. So you don't actually have to know the syntax. Can you try and let's try just expressing the ideas that you want, and we'll see if I can interpret Amitai's thoughts into Ruby code.
Lovely. So let's go back to the
show.
we were looking at add.html.erb, I think it was. Let's go back and look at that and think about it for a second. Right, so we had two lines, one where we increment a parameter and the other where we display the current value. That's what it looks like to me. Do people agree that's what it's doing?
This is adding two values that's coming into the controller, correct? Params1 is whatever number
Yep.
it puts in, and params num2 is the other one. We're adding them together.
Yep. And then we're rendering a different view.
Right, so my guess, without remembering what's in show, is that that should stay where it is, and it's this line that we want to move.
Okay.
Where would the model go in Rails?
So if you do you want to create a new model? Is that what you're getting at?
Do we not have an explicit one yet?
Well, not for this particular exercise. So I will just kind of give you a little what's going on. There is one. Actually, no, I don't. No, there is no model in there. So, but the point is that in this particular exercise, there is no model yet.
Okay.
And now we're moving this logic into a model.
Yes, then I would like us to make one.
Okay. What do you want?
However that works. What are we calling the view here? I'm just looking to be consistent name-wise.
View here is called add.
That's it? Okay, so we're doing mathy stuff. I guess for the simplest first thing we could do, let's call the model add or add model or something like that.
Okay. So I'm just going to create a new file in the models folder, and we're going to call it addModel.rb. The class addModel end. Let's see. We talked a little bit. I'm going to give myself 2 more minutes because I like the job. So Amitai, you want to keep going?
Sure. So what makes that a model? Is it the fact that it's in that model directory, or is it some inheritance that we haven't done yet? Or
Well, now we get into this interesting notion of what a model is, and particularly in Rails. And the kind of original, well, a model represents the domain logic, represents the domain layer, and so it is the code representation of a model of a solution. Rails specifically kind of treats models as active record objects, or used to, and so anything that's persisted will be considered model typically. That said, there's no rule that says that your objects have to inherit from active record. So you'll see a bunch of, and there's a couple other lessons that go into this, but in my work, if something is a part of the model, if that is the core business logic, if it's the core domain logic, and it's not Rails specific, so it's not like a controller and stuff. So I have lots and lots and lots of plain Ruby classes that represent the model but don't do any persistence. And so just for organization purposes, it goes in model. But there's not really anything special about it. It's just kind of it's a pattern more than anything. So when I say model, you know that I'm talking about business logic rather than like a controller or a view, for example.
So the Rails specific part is the part that I was worrying the most about, and that settles my mind on that. So we don't need to inherit from active record because we don't care about persistence for this.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so we just need to model what addition is like with two numbers.
Yeah.
And then call that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have tests for what we're about to do?
We don't have tests, and I think we're not gonna do tests right now, just because we're already. I wanna keep going just for. Are you guys okay with going for about 13 more minutes to get to 10?
Yeah. It's going pretty good now.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I know, right? It's a bummer when like things are rolling and we're like, all right, time to stop. This is the end of that thing, though. Whatever shift. So Amitai, navigate me through the rotation.
Right. It wasn't Control X F. It was Control X B.
So you don't have to tell me the key command.
Oh, I see.
I know, because I know Emacs.
That's right. You're the one person that does. Yes. So please go back to the mob list file where we're tracking who's driving and navigating. Nice to speak logically. And move yourself to the bottom, and then I'll take it from there.
Cool.
Is there any way to keep Emacs but like add a Vim option?
You mean like
who's ever navigating the files, can they use whatever editor?
Yeah, we could do that. We can do that in the future. But I think in the future we'll probably just use Vim more often. But I will say that I think that switching editors in the middle of something, like in the middle of the session, I would consider that an anti-pattern, because we're trying to work together as a team. We're trying to use the same set of tools. So pretend for a second that, I mean, I realize that, especially if you use Vim, that Emacs is going to be a head twister. But just pretend that it's not about Emacs and that we're just talking about a tool that you're not familiar with that you need to use in order to get the job done right now. It just so happens that it's Emacs, and this is demonstrating the kind of learning that happens here. But what just happened, we see the difference of what mob programming allows you to do is Amitai says, switch to the mob list buffer. And I switch to the mob list buffer. If I don't know how, then somebody says Control X B mob list, right? So over time, when I say switch to the mob list buffer, at some point you guys will get that, and you will be able to switch. You'll remember that key command, right? Maybe not today. Maybe it takes a long time, and we sadly won't be using Emacs for much longer, I guess. But yeah, does that make sense? That we want to express stuff at a high level.
Sure.
And if the person can interpret that effectively, then they just go ahead and do that. If they have difficulty with it, then we go down a level of abstraction and kind of walk them through it more.
It's funny, Russell, because when I started working on a project and we were doing mobbing, we all came from different preferred editors, so we all chose Vim to be equally disadvantaged, so to speak.
Right.
And now, multiple months in it, like, we're all pretty good at Vim now. And at the beginning, we knew nothing about Vim. Some people like Sublime, some people like Aquamax, and it sort of forced us to learn a new thing, kind of.
Okay, I'm not opposed to using Emacs. It's just I know I'm going to be slow because I have no idea what's going on.
I totally get it, and that's absolutely fine. So one there's nothing wrong with going slow. Most people should probably slow down when they program. And the point of us working as a team here is that if you don't know something and you're uncomfortable with it, you'll learn it quickly. So consider the difference between when I say switch to the mob list buffer and you go, I don't know how, and then I tell you how to do it. Whereas if for whatever crazy reason you were working Emacs alone and you needed to switch buffer, then you'd be Googling and you'd be trying to figure out how this works. So you go a little bit slower than you would in Vim, but you're still not getting blocked because it takes all of 2 seconds for us to get through the key command and onto the next step.
Okay.
Rob, you are navigating, and Amitai, you are driving.
Sweet. Amitai, can you switch back to that that model we had open real quick? Oh, you're muted, Amitai. There you go.
Okay. So I was joking, I don't know, can I? But I think maybe I can. You wanted to go back to add that one? Okay.
Oh, actually, the new model you just made, and I figured let's just start putting whatever methods we wanted on it, you know?
Actually, no, I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. You're going to tell me what to do. Oops. Okay, so go back to the model?
Yeah, switch back to it.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, so I guess we're going to have a method called add where we're just going to kind of copy that code from before.
Is that how this works in Ruby?
Yeah, that's fine. And then in the middle there have that whole what was it, params number 1.
I'll go grab it.
Yeah.
How's that?
Grab it for me if you can.
To copy a line, I would do Control Space.
If you do Control Space, that starts the highlight, and then press down. It'll highlight the whole line, and then you want to press Option W.
Option.
So that just copied it. Now if you switch back, Control Y will yank it.
Okay, so we want to do something that's like that, but less.
Yeah.
Looking.
My feeling is that we can just everything after the equal sign before the %, we can just stick that there, and Ruby will automatically return that value. So you can even drop the value section.
Neat.
So we have that, and it looks like it'll work. Do we need to pass those params in, or will it automatically just pull them from the URL? Like, do we need to have... Oh, we could do add number 1, number 2, and then just pass the params in when we need to go. That's probably a better way to do it. Yeah, so have parentheses there, and then number 1, comma, number 2, and then we can just pass it in. You can actually erase the param section.
Yep.
So it's just a regular looking function, and we just remember, we'll do that way we can pass whatever we want into it, and we'll just pass in params, like params number 1. That looks good to me, and everybody else think that looks okay?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So let's save that, and then we call it in the controller.
Do we need to stop calling it in the view?
Yeah.
Let's ignore the controller. I want to use the model inside of the view directly.
Okay, so just switch over to that. Okay. So that whole section, you can put value equals and then do add model dot add, and then curly braces. There you go. Cool, you got it. You know, I think we do need the 2 eyes.
And then I don't have them in the...
Because params automatically, everything in params is a string. Well,
Okay.
it's a string. So that should work, I want to say.
Yes, I think so.
So how do we test it?
It's going to. Let me refresh my webpage.
It blew up.
So, Amitai, do this. Switch. I'll tell you briefly. Just switch to the next window, and we should be able to see our Rails server, and we should see a stack trace. Yep. Undefined method add for add model class.
So it's not bringing in.
We didn't
Oh.
record it.
I know what's going on. Can you switch back to the model? That model file we had open? Okay, put it as self.add.
Like so.
Is this on the right track here, Pat? I'm thinking.
You're navigating.
All right, save that and let's try it again. Because I'm thinking it won't. Yeah, I'm thinking it doesn't find it because we didn't instantiate an add model class, you know? Looks like it worked, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So why did you have to make it a class method? Why?
So from what I understand it, I'm not too sure about the computer science terms, but the way it works is that if you just have a regular method in a Ruby class, you have to. So we would have to instantiate something. We would have to say like addModel.new equals something, and then that object we could do addModel.add. If we do self.find though, it's accessible just from the class.
So it's a class method or a static method rather than an object method or an instance method.
Yep. Exactly. So in Ruby terminology is class method is your def self.add and instance methods, and then I guess Java is static and object methods. Cool.
I have an idea, even though I'm navigating. I think we have a redundant to I because we're calling it in the view and then passing in numbers we've already to I'd here.
Yeah.
So I would argue we don't need these and it should still work.
I would say keep them there and pass them in without it, just so it works with anything, you know? I don't know.
Do we still want to call this num then in that case, if they may not be?
Yeah, because they may not be, you know, and I guess I'd rather not rely on having to automatically do it every time you call that method and just have it built into the method, you know?
Okay. I'll save that and make sure it's the way we left it. I keep doing that. I don't need to hit enter. Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah, still fine. Okay.
do you want to hop over to the template and we already changed it, so you guys just want to do the
So
same?
let me jump in real quick, guys. Do you guys want to do one more shift?
Sure.
Let's do it. Yeah. So who's Rob? You were navigating just now, right?
Yeah, I was navigating Amitai, so I think Russell.
Right. So yeah. So navigate the rotation, please.
Yeah, thanks. There you go.
I didn't do what I thought.
So Control Y or Control W will cut it, and then Control Y yanks it. Cool.
Cool.
So all right, let's do one more shift. So Russell, you asked about the class method versus the instance method, and Rob gave an explanation. So what I would like you to do for the last shift is navigate us through using an instance method, using this as an instance method as opposed to a class method. How's that sound?
Okay.
Cool. And then
So being that we have a plain old Ruby object. So can we go back to
Sure.
that class?
This model right here?
Yes. So we want to change this into just a regular instance method instead of a class method. So what's the class method we want? We want the add class method, the add instance method. So let's make it that.
cool.
So the only thing that should change is the way we call it. So we need to instantiate an add model object.
Yeah.
So should we instantiate it in the view?
That'll work.
Do that.
So save this.
I heard Russell say instantiate it in the view.
Yes.
So Rob, if you know how to instantiate it in the view, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Let's save this file first.
Control W, Control S?
Nope, Control X, Control S.
That's right.
Guys, these commands are so logical. I don't know what's so hard for you.
Vim is way more logical for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Wrong one, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, wrong one.
We want, it was just show? No, it was, add.html. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so where we have it here, we're going to have something like,
Add model.new.
let me just, yeah, exactly. We would go like,
Yeah, well, so, sorry, go ahead. Just keep going, guys. But let Russell navigate and Rob drive. This is very important.
something like this, Russell?
Right, and so let's just .add. So just yank the rest of
Okay.
everything after add on. Yes. And paste it.
You guys getting the Emacs commands down.
Russell, do we need the app value?
I don't think so. If we wrap that in, if we just want to show it in the view, we just wrap it in the ERB tag, the out ERB tag, and it'll just be there. Correct?
I kind of think that the template is looking for an at value object.
Okay, so we can set it to at value.
Cool, I can do that. Sorry, I just dropped the two I's because we put it in the method.
Okay.
Cool. As long as we're not doing it twice, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So
How does that look, Russell? What do you think?
I'm a secondary navigator, but can I jump in for a second? I would like to see that template so we can understand why we're setting add value.
So you want to see the show template?
Yeah, just for a second, just to make sure that add value is what it's looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I have it open in a buffer here. Let me check.
Can we split the buffers and show?
You can,
two
Rob,
different
if you press
buffers in the
2
screen?
right now. Rob, press 2. All right.
Boom.
So now Control XO will switch between those two buffers,
Okay.
or between the two panes.
Okay. Control X O and then Control X B show.html.erb. There you go.
Perfect.
So it looks like it's
So it's like what? Memoizing the value. It doesn't have anything. It just gives it 0. So it does look for the at value instance variable.
What's this
I don't see line numbers, but 1 to the 4th line
right here?
where it's
Oh, this one. Yeah.
that's
So
where it's output.
Yeah.
What's this first line mean with the double bar?
It's looking. It's looking to see if value's been set. If it's not been set,
Equals to 0.
it's going to be return 0. If it has a value, it's going to return that value.
Okay. Okay. So it's looking for this at value. So I think we're on the right track, huh? You want to just run it and see if it works?
Yeah, let's see if it works.
All right. Let me drop that this line here,
Right.
and then we'll see what happens. Looks good. Control X, Control S. Yes.
Cool. Well, let's see. I am clicking around the app, and it seems to work okay.
It's still working.
Cool. All right, so I'm just going to point out it was kind of a roundabout way, but we got there. But this is actually exactly what we had before, only just not a new. So turning it from a class method to an instance, all we need is an instance, and so just add model.new. Makes sense. But we did get, I mean, we got there. It was just, kind of a little bit longer. Cool. So we're gonna wrap this up now. I want to thank you guys for participating. I hope you had some fun and learned something. And any questions or anything right now? Questions, comments before we go?
Yeah, I do have a couple questions.
Sure. What's up?
So, like when we mob, it's just going to be like whatever we come up with on the fly, just like ad hoc, or
Yep,
should
that's
we
the plan.
like come prepared?
If you want to come prepared, that's fantastic. So the point is we'll be joining every time and coming together and identifying what we want to work on. So given that people are kind of like, well, what should we do? If you have ideas before and you get up there and you say, so we go, hey, I want to work on this. What do you guys think? Then they all say yes or no, right?
Right. So we should do that on talk.patmanics. Like, how should we communicate that to who's ever going to join that mob? Like, this mob.
Yeah,
I
that'd
guess
be
what I'm
great.
saying is, should we like focus a mob beforehand on this is going to be on lesson 3 or lesson 4 or?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you here, Russell. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm basically making up all this stuff on the fly. Everything is the point is for us just we're learning. So mobbing is going to look very different a month from now than it does today. So if you feel that it is a good idea to post something on the forum and say, hey, I want to mob at this session, is anybody interested? And then start talking about stuff, I think that would be great. I'm really actively trying to avoid telling people what they should do and pushing stuff in a certain direction, and instead letting things pop up like that. So that's a brilliant example, and I would personally love to see stuff like that happen. And as I can facilitate it, I will. So if I see that you guys are talking about that in the forums and that there's some kind of difficulty with the stuff, or you guys don't know who's registered when or what, or if that sort of thing, then I will help out as much as I can there and keep changing the system and coming up with ideas. But as of now, it's really just show up at the same place at the same time and work on something. And we can definitely get into it a lot faster if we're not spending the first 10 minutes or so figuring out what it is that we're going to work on. So if you want to initiate something like that in the forum, that would be awesome. I think that'd be great.
Okay.
Plus, then it has the advantage of, hey, if you want to work on this, join this session.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
Hey, Russell, that little syntax with the double bars, do you know what that's called, by any chance?
I want to say it's called memoization.
Memory?
Yeah. So I would call that one of two things: memoization or lazy initialization. And so they're very similar, but it kind of just depends on context. And so memoization, what Russell's talking about, is you do use exactly that typically. It means that you have a memoization. Like I'm sending you a memo, and I'm adding, so memoization is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so it's actually memorization, but without the R, I just realized. So if you have a method that is expensive to call, and you're going to call it multiple times, but the value is going to be the same each time, then you only want to call it once. Mm-hmm. So it's essentially a cache. Just you're caching something in a variable, and so the first time it calls it, it will assign that value to the variable, but it short circuits. So the next time you call it, it goes, oh, the value is something. It's syntactically, it's literally Ruby. Ruby just expands it. So this is not a method. In Ruby, most things are methods, and so like or is a method, but this just expands out to this. I detached like a dork.
Okay, so
sorry, it's this, right? So that's saying value equals value or 0. So value evaluates to false, meaning it's nil or false, then it'll be 0.
And 0. Okay, that makes sense now that I see it like that. Because I knew the double bars is or, but I didn't understand.
Yeah. So it just expands out syntactically. And so that would be memoization when you're storing it in there. The other way that you might describe it is as lazy initialization. And the idea there is that you don't need to, like, you don't initialize something until you need to, and then once it's initialized, you won't ever do that again. Although I guess that's probably still closer to memoization. So, anything else? Any other questions, comments, ideas, stuff? All right. Well, then we'll just say goodbye to the whole RubySteps world. And
I think I'm going to sign up for the next one.
awesome. Awesome. All right. Yeah. So just kind of a little note of how this stuff is going to go. I don't know if you guys can. Okay. I'm trying to get back on video. So we have a whole bunch more sessions planned this week. Next week, I will have fewer sessions because I'm back on the lesson stuff and I just won't have as much time. But the plan in the future, I'll be running lots of sessions, and as we get comfortable with this, creating the environment so that you can mob without me. And it's not at a particular time, but you can actually create your own sessions and say, I want to mob at this time. And that would be a perfect thing to then post in the forum and say, hey, we're going to do a session here. I want to do on this topic. Who wants to sign up? So mobbing is the big part of RubySteps, and we'll be doing lots of it. I fully intend on mobbing until the end of time. And so for anybody that's out there that is kind of missing out on these first few sessions, don't worry. We're going to be doing more sessions next week and the week after that, and just on and on and on.
Sweet. Cool.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.